Swedenborg. Mary was asked if they knew of Swedenborg on that side. She replied,
His influence is strong here. He long ago ascended to higher planes of thought and speech, but he is looked upon as a great scholar and a pure and strong influence. Mary thinks he has his greatest influence among the intellectually spiritual. You know, I hardly belong to that circle, but I can still admire and learn.
We spoke of the doctrine that Swedenborg had formulated.
Mary says we here have a far simpler doctrine, as you know. Principally, kindness to all, and service wherever possible. But we realize that many need the stimulus of a more involved creed or doctrine, and Swedenborg can certainly supply this need.
She was asked about his teaching that Christ was God, or a part of God.
You will not hear that, we think, at least from those who have been here long enough to enter into the real truth of this life. We look to Christ as the most perfect example of God's love and wisdom that ever lived on earth. We think he was especially gifted in expressing the love and wisdom of the Most High, but we believe that he never claimed to be a part of God.
From the Chinese philosopher.
If science finds means to hold the faith of the world, it will rule the world. We mean that spiritual ideals are opposed to pure science and can never be brought into combination with it. We see the two proceeding side by side, each filling a need in the world, and each contributing to its advancement. So we can say, preserve your ideals. They are rocks that serve to anchor your faith when science threatens destruction.
He then went on with a few rather pointless sayings or aphorisms, and I could get little meaning to it until the closing paragraph.
You see, I have tried to give some that are different from what you have received before. There are two reasons for this. One, to show that an outside influence dictates them, the other, avoid and expect an attitude on your part.
Imperfect communication.
So far as we know, there is no one on earth who is communicating with unseen friends who does not at some time fail of the truth. The conditions are difficult. The human mind acts so easily and in such unexpected ways. But we still think that much good goes to earth, and that with all its mistakes, spirit communication is the great hope of the world. The power of the church has grown limited. The great public mind is very indifferent to religious teaching. The indifference to the various creeds makes some new and powerful influence necessary to draw life into consideration of and preparation for the eternal existence.
Messengers. One evening we asked if they could find a lady who had passed to that side some 15 years ago. Mary said she would send out messengers to inquire. After a few moments of quiet, she continued.
We cannot find her. Our guides think she has gone to higher planes. I called messengers and they went straight to headquarters. Did you know we had this help? But could get no information, so they returned. It is generally useless to try to find one under such circumstances, as we do not ascend to higher planes freely from this one.
Do you ever, under exceptional circumstances, find anyone when on a higher plane?
We try, but seldom succeed. Sometimes, on rare occasions, someone from such planes comes to us for a moment, or sends their influence, just as old-time philosophers or teachers may occasionally send their messages to us, although they themselves cannot come. We have explained to you that those from higher planes cannot easily exist in this denser atmosphere or condition.
Thinking spiritually. 4 of us sat together one evening when Sis took the pencil.
Mary and Dee wish you all good evening.
We replied and expressed our pleasure at their presence.
You are all seeking the same truths, that of spirit life and spirit occupation. We have tried to give you news from here, but you must know that words are inadequate. We can only say again, think spiritually, act spiritually, and trust us to help you on your way.
You say, think spiritually. Can you tell us just what you mean by that?
Mary believes, first of all, the recognition of the great wise power, whom you on earth call God. Then think of the life on this side and of how best to prepare for it. Dee says, you know, when we were preparing for our European trip, we read books of description, we prepared our wardrobe, and our thoughts were turned to the prospect before us. Suppose you apply this preparation spiritually. There are many, many books to read, not only those of earthly writers, but also those whose inspiration has come from here. Then we might find a parallel in the thought of the clothes as compared with spirit clothed in unselfish thought, and in the white robes of spiritual intuition and spiritual help for others. No, I am not expressing this well. But you are good at guessing and will see my meaning. D.
Spirit clothes. The reference in the preceding paragraph to clothing caused us to ask what they were wearing as robes now. D replied.
Mary has on her usual white and glistening robe. Mine, do you remember the colors I loved? Sometimes a pink, sometimes a lavender, but in delicate shades not known on earth.
Someone of our number facetiously remarked.
And you do not have to send to the cleaners, or keep extras banging in a closet.
Not much. Thought, or the thought method, performs the work. We can throw them aside and assume others at will. What has he learned at even earthly seances? Has he not seen the seemingly perfect materials dematerialize?
This referred to a time when the questioner had seen the clothes on a materialized spirit change before his eyes from an ordinary suit to a military suit with brass buttons. I asked how the clothes of the newly arrived were supplied.
They usually appear in white, because that is the spirit color.
Who supplies them?
We think that belongs to spirit appearance. I should accept, however, the criminal ones who come over steeped in their own wickedness. They appear in dark colors, sometimes quite repellent.
Some of us apologized for inquiring so minutely about such things.
It will help when you come. There will be no strangeness for you over here, we think. Thought prepares the way, and you will all feel that you are just coming home.
Do your descriptions really convey the reality, so that we can at once understand, or are such things practically indescribable?
It is indescribable in a way, but in another way it will all seem as you have thought of it. A new and beautiful home, loving and lovable friends, with a friendship across which no shadow ever falls.
The Spirit Home. In the previous volume, Spirit World and Spirit Life, Dee gave a description of the home which she and Mary occupied. Reference is again made to it in the following.
When you come to this side you will be met by loving friends, and you will soon acquire your spirit powers. In this way you will be quickly introduced to the spirit home that is awaiting you. We only wish you could see it now. You have a description of it, but you little realize its beauty. We have changed a few things since that was written, but it is still much the same. You would think we were wonderful architects, no doubt. But you must remember that we have so much help in everything we wish to do, that we can acquire a ripeness of knowledge on such a subject in a time that you would consider marvelous. We have no way of picturing the comfort, the hominess, of our abode. It is all as our thought and desire have constructed, and in this way reflects our own personalities. We sometimes say that a home resembles its occupants, for it represents the character so truly.
The Scientific Circle.
We visited another circle some time ago where they are especially interested in scientific work. We found there a number of spirits who on Earth were noted for their scientific achievements, and they have formed a sort of scientific society here. It is through their influence that some of your important inventions have been perfected, and they are trying to impress further ideas on your workers there. It is a wonderful circle, and is doing much to help the human race. But if this circle under Mary's direction can only succeed in getting their ideas into the minds of mortals, they will be achieving still greater results. For the human race needs spiritual uplift far more than it needs further scientific discoveries.
Spirit Communication.
I am here as a guest in this circle, and have learned for the first time that communication with mortals is possible. I never believed it on Earth, and my progress here has never until now brought me in contact with anyone who knew of such work. I am much pleased to know of the possibility of sending information back to Earth people. We undoubtedly make more rapid progress in the acquirement of knowledge than do those we left behind. And if we can help them to understand a little of what we have learned, it may help the world through some of its difficulties. We always think of the effect that our knowledge may have on the human race, but I had always supposed that our spirit influence was the only means of conveying these benefits. If we can talk directly with Earth people, it should be much easier to put some of our ideas into effect.
Yes, if only we could make these people believe them. But the opposition to such things is difficult to overcome.
Yes, I suppose so. It is easy to forget the obstinate ignorance of many there. It should not be so. Why do they believe in a future life, and yet have no concern about it?
That is a mystery to be solved. They usually seem to wish to put such things out of mind.
Well, so much the worse for them. It should be an attractive idea. But no doubt some fear that they should be leading different lives if they held a belief in its continuation after death. You have much wise teaching from this circle, I am told. I hope you can get it before the world. It certainly was needed when I was there, and if reports are true, matters have grown no better in the 20 years or more that I have been here.
The Great Adventure.
We would like to fill your minds with the immensity of the world here. We would like your help in trying to impress mortals with the thought of this life. And then we would like to give you some of our impressions in regard to life, the mystery, the enticement of it all. There is so much before us that life becomes the great adventure. There is no staleness, there is no weariness of mind. And day by day, vista by vista, time by time, brings us new joys and new experience. We feel that if the knowledge of this life, with its joys and its penalties, for penalties there are for misspent and sensual lives, if these could be known and believed, it would change the earth life to a wonderful extent.
Gleanings. In an evening's communication, the pencil often records material on a number of different subjects, and in a manner which makes a division of it according to topics almost impossible. So the short articles on the preceding pages convey much varied information, yet seem almost impossible to classify. Even the title by which each is designated does not always indicate the content. After they were transcribed, the following paragraphs remained, and it seems reasonable to include them under the above heading.
Here is a teacher who is prominent here, and who is very successful in helping the physically weak. He says,
Start the day with deep breathing for 5 or 10 minutes. Then take passive exercises with the thought of spirit control. That you are simply the expression of spirit life, and should think of it as perfect in every way. If pain comes of any discordant physical condition, look not only to spirit life on this side for help, but to your own spirit life. For that is the perfect mechanism given to you to carry you safely through your earthly career. If you will follow this steadily and continuously, you will see an improvement in health, and it will measure in proportion to your persistence and your faith.
We asked for one who had lately passed to that side, but they could not find him.
Could you not find his guides?
Not necessarily. Do not forget the immensity of this spirit world, and the millions upon millions who come. Can you possibly understand it all? The coming of souls into this life is not readily comprehended. We have to have a very complete system of guides, messengers, and mediums even sometimes, to trace the unknown ones whose friends on earth are seeking for them. We are glad to try, but say this, that you may have patience while we use our skill in finding the unknown one.
Is this Mary?
No, not Mary or Dee. But I have been on many a search for spirits whose friends were calling for them, and I took the pencil to explain. Please try to think back to the beginning of life, from the earliest form of life up to man. Has not the progress always been upward? Then try to believe that the same upward trend, the same possibility for developing fine and still finer personalities still exists. Upward, ever upward, is the line of evolution.
Where will it end?
We do not know the end. Infinity is still hidden from us. We are not developed enough to even conceive what lies before us. But be sure of one thing, absolutely sure. You will never miss your human body, nor want to exist in one again. You have made much progress in your study of psychic subjects, and we hope you will continue to study, for you have scarcely begun yet. It amazes us to learn of writers there who push aside all such matters as foolish, thinking that they know all about them. We here really know very little yet, but how much less the earth people know. It is a study that is actually the study of life itself. And when will such study end? It is like casting aside the truth of existence itself. You will learn as you progress in your studies that all psychic phenomena are connected with the problem of life, and should really never be entirely separated from the study of life. Many there think that life in the material world is all. But even with them life stands preeminent. How much greater it appears when viewed in the light of immortality and eternity. It is the most important thing in the universe. I am glad of this opportunity to tell you of the need of the world. I have been given glimpses into the mind and soul of many over there, and know that many hunger and thirst for knowledge, for evidence of this life. They follow blindly the teachings of the past. Also, I have seen the indifference to the future of many human beings, and know that they need a jar, a shock, to bring them into a realization of the briefness of the earthly life and the eternity of the future existence. We hope for much from this coming to us of the psychically gifted ones, and gladly give to them what we may of teachings of this life. The need is great. Do not let discouragement make you pause. Try to give what you can to the world. You grow discouraged over the bigness of it all, the immense changes which would come to human thought, if our words could be believed. Do not try to estimate your influence, or grow discouraged because you can see so little result. Remember that Christ himself had to depend on 12 apostles for belief, friendship, and spreading his truth before the world. Go on. Do what you can, and let us send our words across as we can. Heaven is here, life is here, happiness is here, and nothing to ever disturb us more. Why not be happy and joyful?
How can you be happy when there are so many who are in misery there because of ignorance and crime?
We do not see them, but we know that in time they too will come into happiness. Is not that enough to be grateful for? The old idea of hell was one of eternal punishment, never-ending sorrow or suffering. What a horrible mistake the old preachers made. How was it possible to put such a black spot on religion? We hope you will keep every high and spiritual thought and impulse that have come to you. We here in this circle have not tried for physical phenomena, nor for messages for mortal curiosity. We wish to lead you toward the higher life, for it is great, so wide, so deep, so satisfying, that all else seems puerile,